Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. For this review I thought I would do something a little bit different from what I've been doing thus far, and I decided to do a review and comparison of most of the concealers that e.l.f. offers. Now, I have been on the hunt for a good drugstore concealer for a long time, and I have tried a variety of concealers from e.l.f. because they are so affordable, and wouldn't it be so nice if they would work adequately, and then you wouldn't have to spend so much money on a nice concealer. Now, if you look on the e.l.f. website, they divide up these concealers not only according to range, meaning essential versus studio range, but they also tend to differentiate between concealers for under the eyes and concealers for the face. And going by the e.l.f. website, out of this entire selection of e.l.f. concealers, only 2 types are supposed to be under eye concealers, and those are the e.l.f. Essential Tone Correcting Concealer here and these e.l.f. HD Lifting Concealers. All the rest of the e.l.f. concealers, which includes the bulk of the concealers that I have to review today, are listed by e.l.f. as face concealers. So the face concealers that I have to review today are the e.l.f. All Over Cover Sticks here. These are from the Essential line, and so is this one, which is the e.l.f. Cover Everything Concealer. And then from the Studio line, I have the e.l.f. Maximum Coverage Concealer Oil Free and the e.l.f. Concealer Pencil and Brush. Now, in terms of my requirements for a concealer, I am much more interested in a concealer that is able to cover dark under eye circles, because I suffer from very bad dark and purpley under eye bags. So that is my main priority, whereas I'm not nearly as interested in something that would cover blemishes on the face. I mean, it's nice to have something like that, but fortunately I don't get a lot of those. But I do have very bad dark under eye circles every single day, regardless of how much I sleep and how much rest I take. So for me, a concealer needs to be pigmented enough to cover the dark under eye circles, and it needs to have a texture that will allow it to stay on that area without creasing and without accentuating any of the imperfections that the under eye area has. Going from the oldest and least expensive product to the newest and most expensive ones, this is the e.l.f. Tone Correcting Concealer, and the writing on the bottle has almost rubbed off. And I got this in the shade Ivory. I always try to get the lightest shade if I can figure out which one it is on the website, because I am very, very pale. So this one comes in a tube, and I can just open it here. You can see the first problem. The cap separates from the part with the applicator, but I mean, it's still usable. It comes with this doe foot applicator, and the formula is actually really thin and rather watery. So if I were to blend this in gently, it doesn't really offer a lot of coverage, and it kind of needs a long time to set. And for my under eye circles, which are really bad, this basically doesn't do a thing. To me, applying this to my under eye circles doesn't really make a difference in my makeup routine, so yeah, I don't really like this one. I would not repurchase any of the shades. I mean, it's really cheap. It retails for $1 on the e.l.f. website, but for my bad under eye circle problem, this does absolutely nothing. So this is a fail. Another e.l.f. $1 product that has been around for a while are these e.l.f. all over cover sticks. And I have several of these, and I have used up completely several of these. The ones I have here are in apricot beige, ivory, and toffee. Now these are cream concealers, and you can just take the top off and then you can twist them up. And this is how it comes. This is the one in ivory. Probably cannot read that. And they're actually very creamy, and to be honest, I would not advise you to apply it just like that from the tube or like that. I think you get a much better application if you warm it up with your finger first and then work it onto your hand. I find that it blends better into your skin that way. So these are cream products, and I did do heavy swatches so that you may be able to pick up the difference in color. This one here is ivory, this one here is apricot beige, and this one here is toffee. Now, toffee is crazy dark for my very fair skin, and I actually got this on purpose because I wanted a shade that I could contour with, kind of a cream contour. And although it is probably too dark for my skin, I can make it work. I actually use this on a daily basis when I do just a regular makeup, nothing fancy. And I blend it out with my e.l.f. small stipple brush, and it gives a pretty nice contoured look. It is a bit oily, as you can see, so you do have to be careful with that. Now going over to these two other ones, it's really interesting. You know, whenever I order from e.l.f.'s website, knowing that I am so fair, I always go for the lightest shade, which in my mind should be the option that is to the outer left side. Well, this is the first option to the left, which is ivory. And this one is like 4 shades in, and in parentheses, it's called fair. Now, in between ivory and fair, I would probably think ivory is lighter, but as you can see, ivory is definitely darker than apricot beige, and I would say there is also a difference in undertones in this. I see more yellow undertones in the ivory one, and this one could be just a little bit more pinky based, the apricot beige. So if you're really fair and possibly looking for that highlighted effect under your eyes, you may be better off going with apricot beige. Now, in terms of general remarks about these, it is nice that they're creamy and you can actually blend them out really well, and they blend into your skin, and they actually have quite a decent coverage to them, even for those crazy under eye circles that I mentioned. Not perfect, but you know, decent. The problem with them is that very same creaminess, because even when you set them with a powder, after a while they tend to crease under your eyes and bunch up in your fine lines, accentuating them. Now, of course, if you're on a budget and you really want to make these work, you can. The first thing that you would want to do in that case is, after you first apply your concealer under your eyes, you would want to go over it and just blot with a Q-tip so that you would remove any kind of excess concealer on the spot. Definitely set with a powder after that, and maybe during the day when you see it bunching up in those fine lines, go with another Q-tip over them and remove the excess concealer. And what I also found that helps is to add back a little bit of moisture. It seems a little bit counterintuitive, but as that concealer gathers up in the fine lines, it's no longer uniformly distributed over your under eye area, and it gives you that kind of blotchy look, which is not very attractive. So if you put in just a slight amount of moisture, you can evenly distribute the product and it looks like it was freshly applied. And the best product that I have found for that is, no surprise, another e.l.f. product, because you know I love e.l.f., and that is the moisture stick. And I actually do use that for that purpose. So, you know, you just warm it up on your finger and then slightly go over the under eye area. And then, you know, everything is beautifully distributed and you can go on. It's a workable concealer. It's okay for blemishes. It does better for blemishes than under the eyes because, you know, with all the expressivity of your face, the area under your eyes has to do a lot more work. Whereas depending on where your blemishes are, that area may be more or less immobile. It's workable, it's okay. I have used several of these tubes, as I mentioned. It's not ideal. What I do like using it for though, and any of these shades will work, is to define my eyebrows. So after I fill in my eyebrows, I just go with an angled brush and retrace the outer contours of my eyebrows with this concealer and then blend it in with a flat concealer brush, and that gives a very nice defined eyeshadow look and at the same time a very clean, crisp look that I really like. So they're really good for that, and you know, they're $1 on the e.l.f. website, so I would say, you know, these are worth trying if you're on a budget. Just do not expect them to be a superior concealer. The next product I have here is this e.l.f. Essential Cover Everything Concealer. And by the look of it, you would think this is a much loved product because I have had major pan on. Basically, I have just the slightest remains of concealer on the edges. I'd say I like this. This is an okay concealer. I'm not really sure if I would repurchase this because I have found better concealers in the meantime. So this is another cream-based concealer and my shade is the Corrective Yellow one. Let me swatch it for you. Texture-wise, this is very similar to the All Over Cover Stick, and they're both from the Essential line. But this one, the round one, costs $2 as opposed to $1, the other one. The shade is okay. The pigmentation is actually not bad, and it works well for the under eye area. You know, with that yellow brightening effect, it actually works to cancel out some of the dark purple color that I have on there. And I do set this every single time, and it holds up okay. I don't see a major difference in the way this and the All Over Cover Stick work. The only difference would be that this is yellow, whereas the other two ones are more of a natural flash shade. And the reason why I have had such major pan on is that I have made a decision to use this up consciously. So the disadvantages with these concealer are pretty much the ones you had with the All Over Cover Stick as well. After some time, it does gather in the fine lines and it accentuates that very unflattering look of having major wrinkles under your eyes when you actually just have fine expression lines. I say, you know, when you set this one with powder, you get a decent 2 or 3 hours wear out of it before it starts creasing. And if it does start creasing, you can doctor it up with the e.l.f. Moisture Stick and it will look fine. It's an okay concealer. I just don't think it's stellar.